Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Barber, and tonight's lesson is going to be on the disease concept. So what we need to do is our usual routine. Let's open with a moment of silence and a serenity prayer. Serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Tonight's class is going to be out of the doctor's opinion in the Alcoholics Anonymous book. And we're going to study the nature of the disease concept. I found, and I have 20 years clean by the grace of God and working this 12-step program, I found that, and I have always worked in the field of addiction, but I found that a lot of people are coming into the treatment centers now, and they do not know the disease concept. We go to a lot of meetings, we go to a lot of different places, and they always tell us to do step one. You must work step one 100%, but no one explains to us what step one is. And I can remember when I first came into the recovery environment, I remember 100%. I remember coming into the rooms and they say, well, you must do step one. So what I would do, I would look up on the board and I would say, all right, step one. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. So in order for me to do it 100%, all I had to do was say, yes. I admitted that I'm an alcoholic. Yes. And my life was unmanageable. Yes. So I thought I had done a step one. So by being around the recovery guys, I started going to a book study. And the guy got up one day and he explained and broke down the disease concept and told me everything about step one. And I realized that I was making a grave mistake by not getting the information prior to me leaning on my own understanding. That makes sense, y'all? So what I want to do is, I would like for every person, just like the vision of AA, that journeys and has a problem with alcohol or drugs, to understand step one. I would like for every treatment center to be able to tell and teach this, what we're going to teach tonight to you guys and females about step one. I would like for every treatment center to have this information. Every 3 quarters, I work in a thrift store. We own a thrift store. And people come in here and they buy furniture all the time. And they say, they'll come up to me, they'll come up to Ken, or they'll come up to Anthony, and they'll say, I just opened up a 3-quarter house or a halfway house. I'm getting people in that's suffering from substance abuse or alcoholism. And I want to be able to house them. I said, well, what you going to do about the treatment part? Or we just going to make sure that they go to meetings? I said, well, what about the disease? The meeting's going to teach them the disease. 3 months later, they pull up in the back of the store in the donation center and they donating the furniture back. I said, what happened to your halfway house? You don't want to know. And I understand that. So this is global. People all over the world is doing this, and it's time now for us to go back to our basics. We're going to go back to the book. We're going to go back to the theory, and we're going to go back and we're going to examine what Dr. Silkworth said about the nature of our disease. That makes sense, y'all? It's something that you must know tonight. This book study tonight is going to be the disease concept, what you must believe. If you don't believe this, you're going to be starting your recovery journey incomplete. So what I want to do is I'm going to take the time, and I just want to introduce to you Dr. William D. Silkworth. I got this off the internet. There's books out on him. There's manuals out on him. There's a ton of information on the internet about Dr. Silkworth. And what I would like to do tonight is just read a little bit to clear up the atmosphere open our minds, get our mindset to a position that we can really start to recover. The journey starts tonight. I got some newcomers in here. Your journey starts tonight. All right, let's look at Dr. Silkworth. William D. Silkworth, 1873, passed away 1951. Dr. William D. Silkworth was called the little doctor who loved drunks. Began an indispensable contribution to Alcoholics Anonymous during the early 1930s from his position as medical director of Charles B. Towns Hospital in New York City. The Charles Towns Hospital was founded in 1901. He was well known then. The hospital was well known as a rich man's drying out place. I'm going to say that again. A rich man's drying out place. A rehab for the wealthy, and it served a worldwide clientele. The people who went to this treatment center in Towns Hospital was rich. So that already knocks out the myth that alcoholics are poor, from low-class families, uneducated, all dumb, skid row bums. That myth is smashed right here, because right when they was coming up with this concept, the people that was in the treatment center was rich. Then it goes on to name them. It says that they was American, and you got to remember they came from all over the world. So it says American millionaires, European royalty, and oil sheiks from the Middle East walked its halls, side by sides, brothers in humiliation, in bathrobes and slippers. All these rich folk, oil sheiks, millionaires, European royalty, the King James, and you know what I'm trying to say, Prince Charleses, and the oil sheiks with the turbans on, and all these people came to Dr. Silkworth and them for treatment for alcoholism and drugs. All right. It was Dr. Silkworth who told me, this is important. All right, this is important. Dr. Silkworth told Bill Wilson, our founder, co-founder, during the summer of 1933 of the nature of alcoholism, that in his opinion, the problem, now this is very important, the problem had nothing to do with vice or habit or lack of character. It had nothing to do with the way I act, where I came from, and what my beliefs are. He says it was an illness with both mental and physical components. So our disease is twofold. It's mental and it's physical. Y'all got that? Say it together with me. Mental and physical. You cannot leave it out. You cannot leave out the physical part. It's not all in our mind. It's in our bodies too. It's in our bodies too. He goes on to say that Dr. Silkworth is quoted widely as calling the illness a combination of an obsession of the mind that condemns one to drink and an allergy of the body that condemns one to die or go mad if one continues to ingest alcohol. So what Dr. Silkworth told, or came out and told really the general public and almost the world, is that they don't have just a psychological problem. Alcoholics just don't have a mental problem. They also have an allergy that is physical. And we're going to go over this. I'm going to take you through everything you need to know tonight. What I would like to do, and don't turn your pages right now, I just want to go back. I'm in the doctor's opinion. This is for everybody. We're in the doctor's opinion tonight. I'm just going to skip through some things, but I highly suggest you to go back and study the doctor's opinion on your own accord. Do not take my word for it. I might could tell you something that's wrong. Study for yourself. Go to the source yourself and find out for yourself and download this information so you can stay clean and sober. Don't take everybody's word for this. Read it for yourself. This is in the doctor's opinion. I'm just going to do some skipping, but you need to study for yourself. I just want to highlight some things. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcohol and drug addiction, gave us this letter. The reason I'm saying alcohol and drug addiction, because I'm only talking about the diseases of addiction. I'm not in an AA class. I'm not in an NA class, which I do highly respect you keep it separate, because that's the nature of our 12-step program. But tonight we're talking about the disease of addiction, the addiction that Dr. Silkworth put out in his hospital. That makes sense? In the hospital he worked at, because he was treating alcoholics and drug addicts. So he didn't separate the disease in his letters. He says, let me go over. Bear with me now, because I'm going to start preaching in here. The physician who at our request gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe. Y'all can underline that one when you're doing your own study. Now, I'm going to flip back down the line tonight. You must believe something. That's something that you got to believe 100%. You must believe this. You must believe that the body, I'm going to say that again, that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. The body is sick and the mind is sick. Our disease is twofold. It's mental and physical. I have someone in my family, I'm just going to explain it a little bit. I have someone in my family who suffers from asthma. And when certain things she can't do. If she go and she mop her floor with ammonia or bleach or put some type of perfume on, it can trigger her to have an asthma attack, her breathing. She suffers from breathing asthma. So I remember years ago, she was doing that type of behavior. She was mopping and stuff, and she had an asthma attack, had to rush her to the hospital, and her lungs had collapsed. They had to pump them up and do their medical procedure and everything. And I remember her telling me that I would never go back home and mop with bleach or ammonia again. And that was it. So she had a physical problem, but her mind wasn't that sick. Now, let's look at me. I, without doing my thing, I got beat up pretty bad. I got hospitalized. I was on the spree. I got beat up. I got put in the hospital. The doctor told me, I'm going to admit you in here for 3 or 4 days because you got a broken leg and some more stuff going on with you. And what we're going to have to do is admit you. Now, keep in mind that my family member, her mind was normal. I'm sitting in there all beat up, bruised up, beat down, can't hardly walk, face about this big, and my mom saying, Robert, you need to get up out that hospital and go get you something. Go get you a drink. Go get you something else. That's what my mom was telling me. Now, my family member, mine didn't tell her to go return to the scene and do some more. My mind told me what? Return to the scene and get some more. In order to be a successful alcoholic, I would say, you got to be able to start with your mind and stop with your mind. Alcoholic, we do one part very well. We start with the mind, but we cannot stop with the mind. That makes sense? Sitting in the hospital thinking about how you can get another drink when you just got beat down because you was drinking. And my mind was so sick, it told me go back to the guy who beat me and apologize so I can drink some more with him.